Hi and welcome everyone to today's presentation of Polygiene. My name is Stefan Knutsson. I'm an equity analyst following the company for ABG. And with me today I have the CEO of Polygiene, Ulrika Björk. Welcome, and the floor is yours.
Thank you. So I'm Ulrika Björk and I'm the CEO of the Polygiene Group. I would like to introduce you to Polygiene and our business. So Polygiene for mindful living. That actually means for us to be aware, caring and responsible and contribute to a more sustainable world. That is actually the umbrella of the company. That is the mission that we are working against. We are a Scandinavian company, and the foundation of our company is that we are an ingredient into other companies' products. So we don't hold our own collections, we don't have our own products. We actually function as an ingredient technology to enhance other products. Very short recap on the history of the company. We existed since back in 2006, and that was in the wake of the SARS epidemic that raged in China. And the demand for antimicrobial technologies were actually growing, and at Perstorp, the big Swedish chemical company, they developed a product that was very efficient against virus and bacteria. So the Perstorp group decided to commercialize this with Polygiene, and we tried to get out to sell this into hard surfaces where we could find a lot of bacteria, like in toilet seats and door handles and everywhere. But after a couple of years, the sports industry approached us, and they actually asked us if it was possible to treat textiles because they had a major problem with odor in training clothes, mainly. And we tested this, and it works out very, very well. It actually inhibits the bacteria growth, and without bacteria, you will have no odor. And what happened after was that the board at that time decided we actually have something we could commercialize, and we raised money. We decided to invest and build an ingredient brand called Polygiene, and also to invest in the organization and try to grow this. We were listed in 2016, and we also got into other kind of industries like fashion and home textiles and workwear. So it's not only sports that demand in this technology, it's also other segments. And in 2018, I was appointed in January 2018 as the CEO. I have a background as the CFO before in the company. And then we decided to revise the market and sales strategies, because being known as the older company, Polygiene, sounds very appealing. So we decided to switch the messaging to actually be a company who could have sustainable solutions for the textile industry, which is very well needed. And we also decided back then we need to find new technologies. We can't lean on one technology that we've been doing for 15 years or at that point. So we launched a technology in 2019 called Odor Crunch, and that was award-winning. So we got recognition in the sports industry. We also decided to invest in China because we thought that that is actually the right place to be to grow this market. So in December 2019, we established the Shanghai company. And then everybody knows what happened in early 2020. And when the pandemic hit, we actually had a person in the company said that we know we have data from SARS-CoV virus since before. So why don't we test again and see if we can launch a new technology? And that's what we did. So 7 April 2020, we launched the Viral-Off technology. And that was a great success in the world. So we actually got big traction in the industry. The share price was affected as well. And that actually led us to that we could make the acquisition of Addmaster, which has been the sole supplier for us for more than 15 years. And they have been only focusing on the hard surfaces and Polygiene on the textiles. So together we could saw a really big synergy and to extend the offering to the customers. So that was a very good match between our companies. And we've been working with integration now for almost 2 years, and it's been very successful. We are operating in 10 different categories. We have the old freshness categories like the sportswear, the fashion, the workwear, the home textile. But with Addmaster, they brought a lot of new categories with food that is very interested, and healthcare, transport, hospitality, professional industrial, and also water that is also very interesting in terms of of antimicrobial treatments. We divided the business into 2 business areas, where we have freshness on one hand and the protection on the other hand. And the freshness business is what you can call the old Polygiene business that treats textile to contribute to a more sustainable textile industry. And the big key driver there is the sustainability demands that the brands have now, and the Agenda 2030. There is a big demand for sustainable solutions. And then we have the protection that is actually durable antimicrobial protection for all kinds of materials and surfaces. We can treat everything from plastics to paper to wood to paints and coatings, all kinds of materials. And of course, again, after the pandemic, the awareness and the interest for these kind of technologies has again been very demanding. The value proposition, we're not only selling a chemical, we actually have 3 equal components that our offering consists of. So it is, of course, the technology, that the chemical itself. And we are working with the best technology in the business, and we also have a long experience of how to apply them, how they behave on different fabrics, etc. So there is extensive knowledge as well. The second is the marketing and the sell-through, that we actually help our customers to communicate and sell these technologies. Because it is an invisible technology, you can't see it, you need to explain it, and you need to help them communicate. And then the third one that is actually one of the most important also, it's the support and services. Because selling chemicals, it comes with a lot of regulations. And all regions have their own regulations, and there are different kind of rules that you need to be followed. So this is something we help our partners with, because they can't manage this by themselves. It's a jungle. So that is one thing we support with. We also support them with testing. We support them with the application service at the mill level and all these kinds of things. So that is equally, these 3 pillars is what the offering consists of. Many of the competition is just selling the chemical in a bottle and then they leave. But our added value is actually all of these 3. Very short on the technologies. These are the 3 freshness technologies we have. We have the odor crunch that I spoke about before. It's a reactive technology. It means that it takes care of odors that already exist, so it's reactive. Then we have the stays fresh in the middle that actually inhibits bacteria to grow, and that is a proactive technology. So it actually takes care of the bacteria at the source to prevent the odor from even appear. So a combination of these 2 is actually something that is making a premium product, and many of our customers are doing the combination. And then the third one is actually something we got with the acquisition of Admaster, and we haven't activated it yet within the freshness, but it's actually a scent master, and it adds a scent, a pleasant scent to products or places or where you need to add something. Very interesting technology to combine here. And all our technologies are tested, they are compliant, they have registered in all the kind of registers they need to be. They have certifications from the industry, easy to apply. You don't need another step or another process in the application process. So that's also a benefit. And they are long-lasting. So they last for up to 50 washes. And if you put something in the table, it's there for the lifetime of this table. So it's durable technologies, and that's important. Whatever you read about that it's washing out, that's not true. It's actually function for up to 50 washes. On the protection side, we work with the Biomaster, that is these polymers that you melt into materials. And you also have the Verimaster, that actually a new technology, which is very, very interesting also for the freshness. And that is a technology to prevent counterfeiting. And everybody knows that it's a huge problem in the textile industry with the brands to be copied. And this is a way to secure it's the original. You actually add something into the a thread, and you can sew this into the care label or somewhere else. And then when you light with a UV light, you can see it actually flashes back. And this is used by, I can't say the name because we have NDAs, but one of the biggest sports company in the world, and it's not the one with the 3 stripes, but they use this. And of course, they don't want to talk about it because we don't want them to find out and then to make copies again. But this is super interesting. We just launched it into the high-end brands in the freshness, and I think there is a big synergy here by cross-selling. And then we also have the viral off, but I didn't find the picture of the viral off, but that's an antiviral function in textiles. And the same here, everything is tested and compliant, and that's super important. The marketing support, it's about how you brand hang tags, how you communicate, how you help them to sell in the POS material, how you help them online, what to write, what to claim, etc. And this is actually pictures from stores. I was in Tokyo for a couple of weeks ago, and I took these pictures in the stores. And it's a pleasure to go shopping in Japan because you see Polygiene everywhere. It's a big difference. They really, really like the brand, and they like to talk about the Scandinavian and the Swedish heritage. So we actually very, very good to see like Adidas doing the hang tags. We have Champion, Helly Hansen, nice brands to be seen with. And this is also from US, the CCM glove. It's a hockey glove, and we know that they could stink really, really bad, and also that they are thrown out before they are actually finished because of the smell. So this is treated with a combination of Stays Fresh and the Odor Crunch, and they brand very, very nicely. And they also do the skates, and they do the protection gears. A lot of products with CCM, which is a really nice brand. Yeah, and there are many, many benefits for the consumer. So this is all this messaging that we help them to talk to the end consumer, to understand the benefit. And it's not only a consumer benefit, as I said before, it's also about the sustainability contribution. So Polygiene, we are working and supporting 4 of the SDGs. And for instance, the number 13, it's about how you can improve awareness and education to get people more mindful. Number 12, it's all about how you can reduce new products and reduce consumption. That is also something that we support. So we can actually fit into these 4, and we have strategies behind all 4 of them. This is also something that is interesting. It's a greenhouse gas protocol. All companies need to go through this. Polygiene as well. We are doing scope 1 and 2, and we're starting with scope 3. And this is interesting for where Polygiene can add extensive value to our partners, because the brands that put a T-shirt on the market are responsible for that T-shirt to the end of life. And if they can prolong that life, as you can see, many of your brands, they are starting with secondhand. They are trying to take product back and sell them again. This is part of this, what they need to have to do to reduce their climate footprint. This is also something that is new. We just launched this life cycle assessment, and this is basically to show that if you add Polygiene, it is a cost. Yes, you cost something to do. Everything you do is a cost on the environment. But if you look at the life cycle of this T-shirt that we treat, it's actually a big impact. And this LCA was made by Sweco, which is a Swedish engineer consulting firm, and it's verified by a third party. And it's also made by the ISO standard for LCA. So everything is like real data. Very fast. We took 3 T-shirts. We took 1 not treated. You train, you sweat, you stink, you wash. The second one, we put Polygiene in, but you wash it anyway. Even if you don't have to, you wash it, just to show how much that cost is. And then the third one is, if you only skip 1 of 2 washes, so you actually basically train twice, and then you wash. So this is what we measured. This is all of the environmental footprints that a T-shirt have on the environment. And as you can see, the gray one is the T-shirt itself. The orange is Polygiene on this T-shirt, washed every time. But look at the blue one. When you skip 1 of 2 washes, we actually reduce the environmental footprint by 37%. And this is not our numbers. This is what they came up with at Sweco. And you see the small cost that Polygiene adds on the ecotoxicity, because that is what we measure. You can see that everything you read in the newspapers about silver being mean or toxic or whatever, it's not true. Actually, it can help to reduce the global footprint. And this is something that we definitely will launch and talk more about with our brands. And they love it. They want the whole study. It's a 25-page study, and all our brands are screaming to have it. So this is a great investment. And then number 3 is the global reach. We are a small company. We have 48 team members. We have local technical and marketing support out in the regions. And then we have a central headquarters in Malmö. We also work with these external agents that works for commission, because that's what's the best way for Polygiene to grow back then, that to take external agents with no salaries, just commission of what they sold. And we kept them because they're really good, especially in Europe and Asia. We still work with the same agents as back then. And we also keep local stock out there for distributors. And that is something that hit us in the Q3. If you follow us, that the one in China, they didn't order as they normally do. They have like a steady flow of orders coming in every quarter, but in Q3 they didn't order, and that was because they had from their owners that they need to reduce the capital tied up in stocks, and they wanted them to go down, and they also saw that the orders was a bit slowly down. So that's why they haven't ordered. This is just, we work with 400 premium brand partners. We had nice brands here. On the protection side, we also work with nice partners. We have cars. This is Neo. It's an electric car from China. We treat the seats and the steering wheel, and we're now looking into the panels as well. Airlines, we're working with a company who makes leather seats, or sustainable leather seats, and we go in with our technology into that seat, and they are selling these to the airlines. And I know that Turkish Airlines, Malaysian Airlines, and Japanese Airlines has committed to buy. So it's a bright future, but you know, as everybody else is hit by this recession now, and our challenge is more that our customers are suffering. So if you look at the sports brands, for instance, they are down a lot, and they have so much stock that's why they don't order from us. That's why we see this delay. But if we look year to date to end of September, we're actually down minus 5.5, and I know it's the strong dollar make it a bit boosted, because we know that the strong dollar help us because we sell mainly in dollar, but also in pounds a lot. Gross margin is strong. It's actually much stronger than last year, and it's because we don't have so many distributor orders, because they have a lower margin. So the sales mix makes that the freshness business is actually very high margin. The operating expenses, as you can see, they increased a lot, but that's driven by the travel cost, that we started to travel. We have been attending trade shows and a bit over-invested in trade shows since we were absent for 2 years, and now we want to make a real impact. And we just were at ISPO, the biggest sports show in the world, in Munich, and that was huge success. But of course, we're looking over the operating expenses, looking over the staff cost. We have more synergies to get out from these acquisitions. So now we look over the organization and see if we have double functions that I believe we have. Yes, and then also important debt-free. That is super important today. Cash in the bank, positive cash flow. We have a strong ownership structure. Many of the top 10 also are the biggest shareholders. I think Peter Gyllenhammar now is our biggest shareholder. Business plan to 2026, we launched that 1 year ago. That was before the war. It was when we thought the pandemic would be over in China. And we also, we thought that now we are ready to go. And then this year has been a middle year where we actually are plus minus zero. But we have a plan to grow to this billion. We are in the budget process now to check if we could need to prolong 1 year or we need to just reduce the number, because we actually lost 1 year. Yeah, and then success factors for the company. We are in a strong position now, and I think I ran out of time now. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Ulrika, for the presentation. You mentioned that you had seen some headwinds during the year, and maybe especially in freshness, that is most exposed to a weaker consumer. Have you seen any relief of late in Q4, or is it still a grim market out there?
It's still, as I said, they have a lot of stock. That's what we heard now on the show when we met many of our partners, that they have a lot of stock because they don't sell as much as they believe. And some of them also stocked up because of the supply chain issues, and that they were scared that don't have stock. So I think they are a bit overstocked, but in the same time, I'm quite confident that they need to reorder at some point. And you look at the activity on ISPO, that you can't say there is a recession about the activities and the projects in the pipeline.
We have seen now some news about easing COVID restrictions in China, for example, and you have a fairly large exposure to the Asian markets. Is that something that can act as a catalyst for you to come back to normal levels in freshness?
We really hope so. We have a team there, and they have been actually locked in for 3 years. It's amazing too. You can't understand it when you live in this part of the world. But we see some, as you said, eases. They been to a show recently that opened up only for Chinese people. But then suddenly you have one case in the region, and they close the full region, and then you just need to wait until it opens up again. So it still affects us, but I think it's going to ease up.
Perfect. And then we also have the protection business area, which has been more resilient towards this downtrend you have seen. In your last conference call, you talked about the good order inflow, especially in the transportation space. Are you still optimistic about the outlook for that business going forward?
I think so for the future. I mean, Neo is not many cars. It's quite small and is one model still. We launched another model with Fiat. They made a collaboration with a special edition. So we're tapping into that area, but I hope we could get to the real volumes, not for these special collections, like we can go broader. And for the leather seats that we work with, Muirhead, they have been very successful. So they report back to us. These 3 airlines and also the railways in Ireland, they're going to refurbish. I think there was 15,000 seats. It's not a big volume for us, but it's a big exposure for other countries or other companies to do the same thing, actually.
And in the presentation, I noticed that you talked about the Scentmaster and the Verimaster, which you haven't talked that much about before, being newer offerings. Are you seeing some traction in those areas?
Yes, as I said, we started with the Verimaster, what we believe in high-end. And we work with Prada, for instance, in Italy. So we're actually planning to do a trip to Italy and go to these more high-end brands to see if it's important for them. But I think it's a really big add-on because the counterfeit market is huge.
Perfect. And then you also talked about price hikes during your last conference call. How is the customer responding to that? And is there any difference between your 2 business areas?
You mean the price adjustments?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. We made a price increase in October for the protection business because we see higher raw material prices. On the freshness side, we haven't made any yet. We believe that we still have this strong margin. So for competition reasons, we don't think it's time to raise our prices. I think we better go the other way and get more volumes instead, because we have a really, really high price if you compare. The margin of the freshness business is actually 75%. And then it go down to 65 with Admaster, who is more traditional 50% margin.
Perfect. And then lastly, I would like to ask, in your opinion, what has been the main theme from the recent trade shows that you have visited?
It's all about the sustainability. Everybody talk about that. And we had this camper van, and we printed T-shirts that was treated. And we had a queue from morning to evening, all 3 days, handing out more than 1,000 T-shirts. And that's brands, it's retailers, it's manufacturers, it's important people who get these T-shirts. And actually, the booth was the talk of the town. We get a lot of, cred for the booth. So I'm really, really proud and happy.
And this market survey that you talked about that Sweco conducted, is it something stopping you from releasing that to the public?
No, we're just making it easy for a normal person in the street to understand it. So we try to, like I said, do easy pictures. But then the other one, the big one, we already sent to many of the brands, the full study. But we will launch this with a press release. And yes.
Okay, perfect. Then I would like to thank you, Ulrika, for coming here and presenting with us today.
Thank you. Thanks.